The first thing that tipped me off wasn't the trench, it was the tire tracks. Deep ones, fresh, cutting clean through my north pasture like somebody suddenly decided my ranch was public property. Then I saw the dirt piled in long straight rows and bright orange utility flags sticking up out of the grass. By the time I grabbed a shovel and uncovered what they'd buried under my land, I already knew somebody had made a very expensive mistake. My name's Wade Mercer. I live outside Ashton Ridge, Colorado, on 70 acres my grandfather spent half his life piecing together. It's the kind of place that stays quiet if you let it. Cottonwoods along the creek, horses in the pasture, cattle near the east fence, and an old red barn leaning just enough to make visitors nervous. Nothing fancy, but every fence post and gate latch out there means something to me. I've always liked it simple. Then Silver Falls Estates got built up on the ridge. You know the kind. Big clean houses lined up perfectly, decorative fencing, polished sidewalks, and people who loved telling each other they were living the country dream, while paying landscapers every Thursday morning. We weren't exactly enemies. But we weren't neighbors either. We'd had the usual friction. Loose dogs. Complaints about cattle smell drifting over the fence. One woman mailed me a handwritten note saying my horses were distracting guests during her outdoor dinner party. I framed that one in the workshop. Mostly I kept to myself. They stayed up on their ridge. I stayed on mine. That Friday, I headed to Pueblo for a rodeo weekend. Nothing unusual. Stayed with an old buddy, had a decent run, got back Sunday evening tired and dusty and thinking about dinner. Then I saw the tracks. Heavy equipment. Big tread. Straight through my pasture. Not along the edge. Not near the fence. Right through the middle. I got out of the truck and just stared. Fresh dirt piled in neat lines. Spray paint on the ground. Flags snapping in the wind. No county trucks. No warning signs. No paperwork hanging on my gate. Nothing. Just somebody digging through land that definitely didn't belong to them. I grabbed a shovel from the truck bed and walked out there. The dirt was still loose. Didn't take long. Maybe a foot down and the shovel hit plastic. White PVC. Huge. Brand new. Then another. Then another. I stopped digging and just stared. Main sewer lines. Big enough for a whole neighborhood. And they were running diagonally through my pasture straight towards Silver Falls. That cold feeling hit fast. The kind where your stomach knows before your brain catches up. Then I heard an ATV. My neighbor Tom Baxter pulling up. Tom's retired, drinks more coffee than water, and somehow knows everything happening within 10 miles. He looked at the trench and let out a long whistle. Well, guess they finally did it. I looked over. Did what? He took off his cap. Silver Falls has been having sewer problems for months. Lift station backed up twice. County denied expansion permits. Heard the board's been scrambling. Then he looked at the pipe. Looks like scrambling turned into trespassing. That was the exact moment it clicked. This wasn't some contractor error. Nobody accidentally hires excavation equipment. Nobody accidentally crosses a property line and buries utilities. They looked at engineering costs, looked at permits, looked at my ranch, and decided I was cheaper. That part got under my skin. Not even because of money. Because of the assumption behind it. Like ranch land is just open space. Like nobody would notice. Like I'd be too busy feeding cattle to care. That night, I barely slept. Sat out on the porch with coffee and stared across the pasture. Wind moving through the trees. Porch light stretching over the grass. My grandfather used to say land remembers who respects it. When I was younger, I thought that was just ranch talk. That night, it sounded different. Monday morning, I was standing at the county clerk's office before they'd even finished unlocking the front doors. Janice pulled maps. Checked parcel boundaries. Utility filings. Right-of-way records. Nothing. No easement. No permit. No county approval. Absolutely nothing. She looked at me over her glasses. Wade, they had no right touching any of that. That was enough. I drove straight to Marcus Hale's office. Best attorney in Ashton Ridge. Sharp guy. Always calm. Always looks like he's already 2 steps ahead. I explained everything. He listened, then leaned back and laughed. Not because it was funny. Because he instantly understood how badly Silver Falls had messed up. He asked, "You realize what this means?" I shrugged. "It means somebody dug up my pasture." He smiled. "No. It means every toilet, every shower, every dishwasher in that subdivision now depends on infrastructure buried illegally under your ranch." That hit me. Hard. I asked if we should file immediately. Marcus shook his head. "Not yet." "Why?" Because right now they need you more than you need them. That made me stop. He leaned forward. Let them feel comfortable for one more day. Then walk in and remind them whose land they buried their future under. Silver Falls had their HOA meeting Wednesday night. I drove up there in my old pickup while residents filed into the clubhouse carrying bottled water and folders. The place looked exactly how you'd expect. Stone fireplace. Expensive wood trim. Farmhouse decor bought from a catalog. At the front sat Gregory Whitmore, HOA president. Perfect haircut. Nice watch. The kind of guy who always smiles first because he assumes he's in control. He saw me walk in. That smile faded just a little. I walked straight to the conference table. Set the county maps down. Didn't sit. Didn't smile. Just looked Gregory dead in the eye and said, Gregory, you buried your neighborhood's sewer lines under my ranch. And just like that, every sound in that room disappeared. For a second, nobody moved. Not a chair. Not a hand. Nothing. Gregory Whitmore looked down at the maps in front of him, then back at me with that polished smile like confidence alone might somehow make the problem disappear. Mr. Mercer, he said evenly, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I kept my hands on the table. No misunderstanding. A couple board members shifted in their seats. The younger guy near the far end started flipping papers like maybe pretending to stay busy would make him invisible. Gregory glanced at the report again, then calmly said, Our contractor handled the utility work. I'm sure everything was filed properly. I slid the county paperwork closer. Then page 2's gonna ruin your night. He picked it up. Read half the page. And there it was. That tiny crack. His jaw tightened just enough. A woman beside him frowned. Greg. He didn't answer. I said it plain. No easement. No permit. No county approval. No legal right to cross my property. The younger guy looked up fast. Wait, seriously? Very. That room went quiet in a different way after that. The real kind. Gregory set the paper down carefully. This can be corrected. I nodded. It sure can. He folded his hands. What exactly are you asking for? That was the moment Marcus had told me to wait for. Don't rush. Let them feel it. Then give them the number. I leaned forward. 50-year access lease. A couple eyebrows lifted. $20,000 a month. One board member actually gasped. The younger guy laughed because he honestly thought I had to be kidding. I wasn't. Gregory stared at me. That's unreasonable. I shrugged. Then dig it up. He sat up straighter. We have more than 200 homes connected. Then I'd stop calling it unreasonable. Nobody had much to say after that. Linda, the woman beside him, finally asked, and if we say no? I answered without taking my eyes off Gregory. County enforcement. Emergency excavation order. Utility violations. Then your residents wake up to sewer backups and start asking questions. Linda went pale. The younger guy looked sick. A man near the fireplace muttered under his breath. Gregory cleared his throat. This sounds dangerously close to extortion. That almost made me smile. No. Extortion would have been me sneaking onto your land and burying something expensive underground. A couple people suddenly looked very interested in the tabletop. Gregory definitely didn't appreciate that. I slid Marcus's lease agreement across. Simple. Monthly payment. Automatic increases. Miss one payment and access ends. Linda started reading. Halfway down the first page, she slowly looked at Gregory. And right then I saw it. She hadn't known. Not all of it. Which meant Gregory had made this call himself and sold the rest of the board on some cleaner version. Gregory asked for 48 hours. I tipped my hat. Take your time. Then I left. And honestly, walking out of that clubhouse felt pretty good. But the next day got even better. Thursday morning my phone started ringing before breakfast. Gregory. Ignored. Unknown number. Ignored. Then Linda left a voicemail asking if they could meet. I let that sit. Around noon Tom rolled up on his ATV. You've got company. Black SUV coming up the drive. Gregory. Linda. And a lawyer. Of course. They stepped out trying to look composed. I stayed right where I was fixing a fence near the barn. Let them come to me. The attorney introduced himself. Nice suit. Careful voice. Started talking about cooperation and community benefit and avoiding conflict. Then he made the offer. One large payment. Enough money that plenty of folks probably would have taken it. I let him finish. Then shook my head. Gregory frowned. That's a fair number. No, it resolves everything. No, Linda finally asked. Then what do you actually want? That answer came easy. I want you to understand you crossed on a land that wasn't yours because you thought nobody would stop you. Nobody spoke. Wind moved through the cottonwoods. Horses grazing behind us. I kept going. My grandfather built this ranch piece by piece. Somebody on your board looked at all of that and decided it was cheaper than permits. Gregory crossed his arms. This was business. I looked him right in the eye. No. This is consequences. Tom yelled from 50 feet away, still my favorite sentence this week. I nearly laughed. Gregory definitely didn't. Their attorney tried one more time. There has to be middle ground. I nodded. There is. Then I handed over Marcus's updated contract. Gregory looked down. Read the first line. Then snapped his head up. 25,000. Price went up. Linda turned sharply. What? I shrugged. You brought a lawyer to my ranch and tried talking me into cleaning up your problem. Gregory's face turned red. This is ridiculous. Linda looked at him, then looked at the contract, then asked quietly, Greg, did you actually approve this route yourself? He hesitated. That was enough. Her expression changed immediately. You told us permits were pending. Gregory said nothing. And right there in my barnyard, the whole thing started breaking apart. The attorney stepped back. Smart move. Linda's voice got sharper. You told the board county approval was in process. Gregory muttered, it was supposed to be. That's not what you said. Now the truth was hanging in the air for everyone. Residents would find out. Fees would rise. Questions would come. And Gregory Whitmore would be standing right in the middle of it. He handed the contract back. We'll review. I tipped my hat. Take your time. They drove off. Tom rolled over grinning. Think he's sweating? I watched the dust trail. I think Gregory's questioning every decision he made this month. Tom laughed so hard he had to wipe his eyes. Friday afternoon, Marcus called, and I could hear the smile in his voice before he even said hello. They're ready. That fast. Emergency board meeting. Residents found out. Apparently it got loud. I leaned on the porch rail and looked towards Silver Falls. Sunlight on rooftops. Perfect from a distance. Big mess underneath. Marcus continued, Gregory got blamed. Half the neighborhood wants this solved now. I nodded. What's the final? They'll sign Monday. And for the first time since I'd found those pipes, I actually felt calm. Because it wasn't really about anger anymore. They gambled with land that wasn't theirs. Thought they could save money and bury the evidence. Now the bill had finally come due. Monday morning, Marcus met me at the title office. Inside sat Linda, 2 board members, their attorney, and Gregory Whitmore looking like he hadn't slept in 4 days. The contract sat in the middle of the table, waiting. And after staring at it for one long, quiet second, Gregory finally reached for the pen. Gregory Whitmore held the pen over the contract like it suddenly weighed 100 pounds. Nobody spoke. The title office had gone completely quiet. Linda sat across from him with her arms folded tight. Their attorney looked tired. Marcus stood beside me calm as ever. And Gregory just stared at the lease. $25,000 a month. 50 years. Automatic increases every 5 years. Miss one payment and access ends. Clear. Simple. Final. Then he looked at me. You're seriously doing this? I met his eyes. No, Gregory, you did this. That one landed. Linda leaned forward. Sign it. He looked at her. Linda, no. You told us permits were in progress. You told us everything was covered. Now the whole neighborhood is paying for a decision you made. He glanced around the room. Nobody jumped in. Nobody defended him. Even the attorney quietly slid the paperwork a little closer. Gregory exhaled hard, then signed. One quick stroke, then another. Linda signed next, then the others. Then Marcus slid the contract to me. I signed my name, and that was it. Done. And weirdly enough, I didn't feel angry, didn't feel triumphant. Mostly I just felt steady, like something had been put back where it belonged. Gregory stood, grabbed his folder, walked out without saying another word. Linda stopped at the door, turned back, and quietly said, for what it's worth, you were right. Then she left. Thursday morning the first payment hit. $25,000. Straight into my account. I stared at the number a second, then laughed out loud. Not because of the amount, because of what it meant. They bet I wouldn't notice, but I wouldn't push back. But they could use land that wasn't theirs and clean it up later. They lost every part of that bet. Tom came over before lunch carrying coffee. I showed him the transfer. He nearly spilled his cup. Every month. Every month. He sat down on the porch and started laughing. Wade? That may be the most expensive sewer project in the county. From the porch, we could see Silver Falls on the ridge. Same rooftops, same clean sidewalks, same perfect little neighborhood. Only difference now, every single house up there depended on sewer lines crossing my ranch. And they knew it. Word spread through Ashton Ridge fast. Hardware store, feed store, gas station. By Saturday, half the town had heard some version of the story. Tom started introducing me as the sewer landlord. I hated how funny that actually was. Then Silver Falls held their first HOA meeting after signing. Packed clubhouse. Residents shoulder to shoulder. People demanding answers. Asking why fees were suddenly going up. Asking who approved construction. Asking why the neighborhood was paying thousands every month to the ranch next door. Gregory tried defending himself. Didn't go well. One homeowner stood up and asked if this was such a smart decision. Why are we paying him every month? Another asked, why are we paying because somebody decided his property didn't matter? Linda didn't stop any of it. She just sat there and let the questions hit. 3 days later, Gregory resigned. Tom showed up with peach pie. Dead serious. Said the occasion deserved celebrating. I told him if he kept bringing pie every time somebody regretted crossing me, I was going to need bigger jeans. He said that sounded like a worthwhile problem. The payments kept coming. First of every month. Right on time. And after a while I stopped thinking about revenge. I repaired old fencing near the creek. Replaced the barn roof that had needed work for years. Updated the ranch water system. Helped my niece with tuition. Set money aside. Things ranch life usually makes you postpone, suddenly got handled. And every bit of it felt earned. Not lucky. Not random. Just consequences landing exactly where they belonged. Still, some evenings I'd sit on the porch with coffee and catch myself smiling. Wind moving through the cottonwoods. Horses grazing. Sun dropping behind the ridge. Lights glowing up at Silver Falls. And buried under my pasture. Those sewer lines still running straight across land they once treated like it was empty space. A few months later, I ran into Gregory at a gas station. He looked tired. Older somehow. Like stress had finally caught up. He nodded. Then quietly said, I should have handled it differently. I leaned against the truck. Yeah. He looked out toward the road. We were over budget. Residents were furious. Engineers gave us numbers we couldn't afford. Your property looked like the easiest option. And there it was. The real answer. Not some personal feud. Not hate. Just pressure. Pride. And a shortcut taken by somebody convinced nobody would notice. I laughed. Gregory, you dug a trench through open pasture. He gave a tired smile. Fair enough. Then we left it there. No handshake. No dramatic speech. No friendship. Just two men standing beside gas pumps knowing exactly how expensive shortcuts can get. And even now, those payments still hit every month. The creek still runs. The horses still graze. The old barn still leans. Silver Falls still looks polished and peaceful from the road. And nobody driving past would ever guess what's buried under that ridge, or whose land every flush crosses before it leaves the neighborhood. So now I'm curious. What would you have done? Would you have forced them to dig every foot of pipe back up, taken a lump sum and moved on? Or done exactly what I did? Signed the lease, and let every flush remind them whose land they should have respected from the beginning? Drop your answer in the comments. Because around Ashton Ridge folks still argue about whether I was fair, whether Gregory got what he deserved, or whether I should have shut the whole thing down and made them start over from scratch. And honestly, every first of the month when that deposit lands, I still smile a little.